From the rise of Aegon the Conqueror to shadow babies from beyond the grave, here's the craziest things from the books to expect in Season 2 of House of the Dragon. When the smash hit TV show Game of Thrones ended in 2019, it closed out holding a solid position as one of the greatest TV shows ever made. While its final season caused somewhat of a stir-up, with many viewers feeling like it lost speed and traction, to many devoted fans, it is still considered the greatest TV show ever made. By the time Game of Thrones ended, fans were left divided, with many losing respect for the show due to its subpar final season, and others longing for more to fill the hole in their hearts. In 2022, thrilling prequel series House of the Dragon was released, and the naysayers were officially silenced. Season 1 exceeded everyone's expectations and received massive praise from fans and critics alike. It successfully managed to recapture the spirit of peak Game of Thrones with its strong writing, dynamic world-building, and a fantastic cast, including Paddy Considine, Matt Smith, and Olivia Cooke. The story starts off around 172 years before the events of Game of Thrones, in a time of overall peace and prosperity in Westeros, with the Targaryens presiding over a predominantly united kingdom. However, problems arise when the current king and fifth Targaryen ruler, Viserys, fails to produce any male heirs, and after the devastating death of his wife, he goes against his court's advice and names his daughter, Rhaenyra, his heir, instead of his reckless brother Daemon. He then kicks Daemon out of the city, and that's where the trouble starts. The controversial move to have a female heir at the throne causes heaps of issues, as no female has ever sat on the Iron Throne. Daemon ignores this decision and goes on acting like he's going to be the king, lining up every criminal in King's Landing and executing them one by one. From here, the pace picks up massively, and by the end of episode 1, fans knew there was something very special here. Over the course of the season, viewers got all of the drama and blood and guts that they used to get in Game of Thrones, and then some. Steamy graphic scenes, limb-losing sword fights, intense battle sequences, and the introduction of over a dozen different dragons. House of the Dragon is set in the Dragon Golden Age, so original author and creator of the show, George R.R. Martin, really ramped up all things dragons this time around. The series also dove into some delicate subject matters like assault, underground children fighting rings, and even incest. When R.R. Martin wrote his popular fictional history book, Fire and Blood, he continued on his path of shock and awe, never shying away from such subject matters, and across the 6 volumes, he covered a lot of ground that hasn't yet been shown in House of the Dragon. Much like his popular book series, A Song of Ice and Fire, that went to form Game of Thrones, there is a lot in the books that didn't make it to the screen. While the showrunners have promised that future seasons will delve even further into the Targaryen story, it's unclear to what depth it will go. The book, which was released in 2018, spans the history of House Targaryen from the arrival of King Aegon I Targaryen, also known as Aegon the Conqueror in Westeros, all the way to the early days in the reign of King Aegon III Targaryen. Out of the 6 volumes of R.R. Martin's book, Season 1 House of the Dragon focused on events from Heirs of the Dragon and The Dying of the Dragons. So, that leaves 4 more books for Martin and his writers to include and expand upon in the upcoming seasons. And there's certainly plenty of room to play with. HBO officially renewed Season 2 not long after Season 1 aired, and a further 2 seasons are expected to hit the small screen. So, it's looking like House of the Dragon is here for a while. Lovers of the book would argue that many exciting events and storylines were left out of Season 1, but are hopeful that Season 2 will deliver the goods. While it has been announced that Season 2 will be 2 episodes shorter, consisting of 8 episodes this time around, this actually works wonders for the longevity of the show. It indicates that the writers want a fast turnaround on Season 2, so that they can begin mapping out Seasons 3 and 4. The meteoric rise of King Aegon will surely be a leading story in the upcoming seasons. In Martin's book, The Targaryen Conquest, readers get an inside glimpse into how King Aegon I Targaryen set out to conquer the 7 kingdoms of Westeros. Through a combination of brilliant strategy and deft political maneuvering, Aegon was able to unify the kingdoms under one banner and create what would later become known as the Iron Throne. He also employed a number of incredibly powerful dragons to aid him in his conquest, which may well make an appearance in House of the Dragon in Season 2. These dragons are sure to be one of the most awe-inspiring sights viewers can expect from the show, and will undoubtedly help breathe life into Aegon's ambitious vision for Westeros. And fans of the book and show will sure to be enthralled by the prospect of seeing these incredible dragons in action. Season 2 could also dive deeper into the events in the book, The Dying of the Dragons. While the TV show took some inspiration from this book, there are many elements that weren't included. In the stories, we see characters like Daemon Blackfyre and Shiera Seastar in action, two mainstays of Targaryen history. The book presents readers with a plethora of tales about the feud between House of Targaryen and House Blackfyre, a conflict that hasn't been included in the series as of yet. While the writers and showrunners are perfectly capable of creating fresh new stories, there are still many more events from the books that avid fans are aching to see. And there are so many massive questions left unanswered, like how will the war amid House Targaryen play out? Who will live? Who will die? And will viewers ever get to see a baby dragon? Despite the unprecedented amount of new dragons, there's no doubt we all want to see more. I mean, the show isn't called House of the Dragon for nothing. And the final episodes of Season 1 prove that. In the very last episode of Season 1, Daemon lists the names of all his side's dragons: Syrax, Caraxes, Arax, Meleys, Taraxes, Moondancer, and the unclaimed Vermithor and Silverwing. And with Arax being no more, viewers haven't even seen half of the dragons that Daemon mentions. And the show has been hinting at something rather spectacular for Season 2. Throughout the show, the Targaryen children have been gifted many dragon eggs. And considering they make an appearance in the books, we think Season 2 could show the audience a baby dragon, even if it's just once. There have already been some massive changes to George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood, which allude to some super interesting and intriguing possibilities for House of the Dragon Season 2. Laenor Velaryon is in fact not dead and living across the Narrow Sea, and if his parents find out he's alive, it would strengthen their allegiance to Rhaenyra, identifying her in their minds as a true ally and not just Viserys-named heir. Finally, there are even more fantastical elements such as undead knights and shadow babies from beyond the grave that we can expect to make an appearance in Season 2. While there are many areas of the books that won't be a part of House of the Dragon, fans should still keep an eye out for any subtle nods or Easter eggs to these stories in the upcoming season. Like with any writer, George R.R. Martin is always pretty vague when it comes to divulging information about upcoming projects, but it's safe to say that he will not want to let fans of the books down and definitely likes to keep audiences on their toes. So, from the rise of Aegon the Conqueror to shadow babies from beyond the grave, this was the craziest things from the books to expect in Season 2 of House of the Dragon.